Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. I am Justice Pauline Denise Ritchie, in capitis diminutio nolo, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredes. My free chosen national appellation is Light Tajiri Bay, in capitis diminutio nolo, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredes. No United States corporation, company, citizen, nor their agents, principals, heirs, nor assigns has personam jurisdiction, nor territorial jurisdiction, nor subject matter jurisdiction over any of the sovereign Moors. We want to make sure we get that on the public record as often as possible. We hereby terminate all corporate contracts at all times, nunc pro tunc. We first want to acknowledge the energies with regard to today being January 28th, 1441 on our ancient sovereign moon calendar, and 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar. And today is the full moon for the month, and we want to acknowledge the full moon and the full moon energies. I'm not sure about, I'm sure you all have been feeling the same. The energies are different today. They are quite different today than they were, let's say, this time last week. The energies today feel like everything has shifted back to its rightful place, and that can be a little bit chaotic when things are when everything is turned back on its rightful place. Everything that was upside down before is now in its rightful place, to include the heirs and the estate and all that has to do with our vast estate. So one of the things that we recently did a video on, we just discussed it yesterday, and we've been discussing it over the last few calls, has been returning the post office to its rightful status and its rightful place as well. So what we're doing with regard to the post office is this. We have placed sovereign court actions, and I don't think there's a single Moor here who's been doing liens that did not lien the post office. I think or the postal service. I believe every one of us who has done a lien before, that was one of the liens we did. And I believe that the ancestors had us all on one accord there, because that is the place where the change is happening. It is a catalyst, one of the catalytic places where the change for the money system to manifest on the land has happened. It's already done. It's a wrap. They're finishing up what they need to be doing as far as fiat is concerned, and now we have to bring forth the gold-backed sovereign money and the gold-backed sovereign everything, really. So we're taking that in stages and phases, okay? What we've done thus far, again, has been liens and court actions on the post office or the postal service. That service is moving into the hands of the heirs. It is going to be a transition, so it's not an overnight thing, but it is going to happen fairly quickly. What needs to happen now is that all of the Moors, all Moors who can and who are competent to do so, First, I will say that we do need to get as many of us as possible that can get military uniforms need to get them. And the military uniform is just simply what they call the BDUs, or the battle dress uniform. And the battle dress uniform is just the one that I've sent out photos, etc. of myself in that uniform, and we want to continue growing in that capacity, because we're going to be needed there in that capacity in our sovereign status with our flag flying. And we're going to, all Moors are also encouraged. And again, we can't tell Moors what to do, but if we really want what we say we've been wanting and what we know is rightfully ours, and again, we're not doing anything where we're forcing anything on anyone, to include the occupation. And that's kind of sort of not true. It's not a forced thing, though. We're not forcing them to do anything. They're already doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is occupy until we come. And when we come, then their occupation ends, and it has ended. We're here. So military uniforms with our flag, and the military uniform should say, any lettering on the military uniform should be in red and all lowercase letters. That's number one. And number two, we are peacekeepers, so all uniforms should say peacekeepers. And then number three, white turbans and white shirts underneath. And where it says peacekeeper, it should say peacekeeper, a white background with red lettering. Okay. And next, those who may feel like you might not want to do that, if you will place a lien on the post office building in your territory, and then do a court action on them and whoever it is that's pretending to be the postmaster, because you're the postmaster. We're all postmasters. And then what we're going to do is publish title to each one of the buildings. Okay. Publish title to each one of the buildings. And then when we get to that point, that's when we will take a look at what we've done so far, and the list of the buildings, etc. Because at some point we're going to just one moment. Let me make sure that I get that out. Okay. And then at some point we're going to start moving in to those places. Okay. And again, this is not anything that is going to be contentious or anything like that. In fact, it needs to be done. Everyone's waiting for it to be done, but it has to be done in an orderly fashion. Okay. It has to be done in an orderly fashion, and we have to do it together as a nation and as government, because that's what we are on the land. So placing title, allodial, sovereign allodial title on the building, do the court actions, do the lien, and then we will go from there. Here in this territory, what we're doing is placing, well, we've done the liens, we've done the court actions. One of the court actions was finalized. It was held over yesterday. And the reason we held over that particular court action, held over just means we're holding it like this over the postmaster, the ones doing business as postmasters, so that if we need any assistance while we're there, that they provide assistance as subjects and not in any corporate capacity. And then we're going to have to then start the exchange where the go back currency and go back exchanges happen. That's how this is going to be done. Is we're going to go there and do it that way. And we're okay with taking the lead on how that should be done so that it's done peacefully, so that everyone is, and when I say taking the lead, I mean taking the lead on the process. No one leads the Moors. You all don't have a leader. You're your own leader. We are our own leaders. And then we lead ourselves together as nation and as government. So we're going to, on or about February 14th, we're going to continue this process. And what we're doing is notifying. We're taking as much time as possible, giving as much notice as possible. We've already placed it on the public record. We placed it on the public record several times on these calls, and we're placing it on the public record again at February 14th. We will begin moving, going into the post office here at Federal Way Territory. And we're going to take inventory of what's there and go from there. So we are crafting affidavits, etc., to that effect, and letting them know that the people have spoken and that the property belongs to us. And that does not mean that their operations are going to stop immediately, but it's going to be a transition. It's going to be a peaceful transition. We will have our stuff and things that we do, and they will have their stuff and their things that they are doing. And those two will not mix. Okay. We first need to see the systems, because those systems belong to us. And in anticipation of our arrival, the systems, for the most part, all across the land have been updated. Systems at fake courts have been updated. Systems at post offices have been updated. Systems all across our land have been updated in anticipation of our arrival, of our competent, peaceful arrival. So with the last two court actions that we did, we said we called them forth, and we know they can hear us. We know they watch everything that we do, and we know that they know exactly what they're supposed to do. And what we do is we're holding over our justice, because we are justice. So we're saying, okay, the ones that are here now, because they've changed postmasters, you know that, because of the rulings that was done where Megan Brennan is concerned. And so now it is, and when I say change postmasters, they change public servants. He's not a postmaster, and neither was she. They are servants. Servants that were pretending to be and doing business as postmaster while we slept. But we're the postmasters. So where DeJoy is concerned, the servant, the public servant DeJoy, where he is concerned, we did a court action where he is concerned, and we're holding over. And at any time, we will pronounce the justice. At any time. If we see anything that does not look right, where we're concerned, we will pronounce justice. So if you know the story of Damocles and Damocles' sword, it's that kind of thing. And we know that the sword is the word. That's why they're spelled so similar. Swords and words are the same. Even in the Bibliothek it says that. And so if you want to know the story of Damocles, look it up, Damocles. And that's one of the ancient stories that came from our records. And of course they hypothecated that. But that's what we're doing, is holding everything over for now. And then we're going to move in. And we would ask, because you can't tell sovereigns what to do, but we would ask that everything that you're doing now, just keep doing it. And nothing has to change drastically at this point. Nothing, because this is going to be a gradual transition. It's a gradual transition. Nothing needs to be done. No sudden moves need to be made or anything like that. We're going to get it done, and it has to be done. We've already started. The majority of the processes are actually already completed, and now it needs to manifest on this plane. So we're just letting you know what's being done and what we're doing to this point. Again, be getting your military uniforms together. I have quite a few of them here, so if anyone is in this territory and you need one, and we have one that can fit, we're happy to let you have it freely. So as long as our flag is on it and it says peacekeeper, then we'll be okay. And then we're getting ready to also ensure that we start preparing to protect and secure that which is ours. And again, we're doing that here. We don't need weapons or anything like that. Thus far, everything seems, and it's not even a matter of what it seems like. It is. Everything is going as planned. Our ancestors wouldn't put us in any positions where we could be hurt or anything like that, as long as we continue to hear them and to do what we know to be right and to keep our energy clear and not war. And then also, heirs, I will say this, the one energy that seems to be, it is a self-saboteur in our nation. It will sabotage anything that we're trying to do if we allow this one energy in, and that energy is ego energy. We cannot allow ego energy into what we're doing because it's a saboteur. It will sabotage whatever you're trying to do. And whatever you've accomplished thus far, ego energy will mess it up. And, you may accomplish something today that is awesome. And then if ego energy comes in because of that accomplishment, then, that accomplishment seems like it's in vain almost. It's still accomplished, but it's, it won't be the same. So let's keep that in mind as well. Are there any questions about any of what has been said? Let me see. Hang on just a second. Let me make sure that okay. I'm going to put it on. I'm I put it on mute, and those who want to unmute and ask a question, or you have any thoughts about where the direction we're going in, etc., go ahead and star 6 so that we can hear you. I believe Justice Kendrick has a question about the name on uniforms. Justice Kendrick, do you want to hit star 6 so that we can hear your question? Justice Kendrick L. I'll see if I can see him. Okay, there you are. Islam.
What the fuck is up, Pauline? How the fuck are you tonight?
Justice Kendrick. Okay. Empress Jatali, I think that you unmuted as well.
Islam, I yield. I unmuted just in case we were going to say something as a group.
Okay. Are there any questions about any of that as well? Let me boot all of that other stuff out of here. Okay. So in terms of military training, etc., I think it's important that we make it clear that we're not at war. We're not at war. We're peacekeepers, okay? And that is what the uniforms are about, is peacekeeping. I think it's important to note for the record that with all of the events that have been going on the land, we know that the corporate military is no longer here and active on the land because we're here. So what you did see even, in the last few weeks was some entity doing business as a National Guard, but they were actually not really doing anything because it's not their estate. It's not their estate. It's our estate. And so in each of the territories, we need some Moors that are bold enough to at least get a uniform and put Peacekeeper on it and put our flag on it. And then with regard to the name on the uniform, there are no names on our uniforms. If you want to put, we have appellation. So the appellation will go on the uniform. And the way that we're doing it is we're putting, for example, mine says Richie, which is the sovereign born name in red in all lowercase letters, on the right-hand side of my uniform. And then on my arm, I'll have an armband around the arm, a white armband around the arm that will say Bay or L. So if whatever your sovereign appellation is, you can put, whatever your title of nobility is, you can put it on your arm, your right arm, because the right arm and the right red thumbprint, that's where the power and the authority is. So we're going to put it on an armband on right around our arm in red. And you can have L or Bay, and if it's L Bay or Bay L, your sovereign, however you choose to do it, it is preferable that you have one or the other. Even though, for example, the justices and judges of this consulate and this government, we write law as well as enforcing it, because there's no law that I would write that I would not enforce. But I am light to Tajiri Bay, so I'm, where military is concerned, Bay is going to be appropriate for me, but that's just me. Military is, and peacekeeping, and that's actually a better word. Military is a good word, but peacekeeping is better. Because when we talk about United Nations peacekeepers, about 2 years ago, the Sovereign Supreme Judiciary of the Moorish American Consulate sent a document to the corporate United Nations telling them that we've declared peace on the land. We sent that out everywhere, not just the corporate United Nations, but the corporate United States Corporation Company and all of its subsidiaries. So they're all aware. Everyone is aware. So we want to continue in this manner, get the uniforms ready, and then when you have your uniforms ready and you have them on, if you want to post them on social media, go ahead and post them on social media. And the reason I say post them on social media is because I'm finding out that, first of all, those who did not have our best interest at heart want us to be quiet. I don't know how many times I was told, y'all shouldn't put all of that out on the airwaves. Some of that stuff is sacred and secret. But I'm finding out that if something is going on and we put it out over the airwaves, we get remedy. Remember, I told you all that on January 1st, and the court action is on YouTube. On January 1st, I did a sovereign court action on my, on not my straw, but the straw. The straw doing business as Pauline Denise Ritchie. And that's in all capital letters, as well as in capitis diminutio minima, which is a capital P and the rest of the letters small. And 24 hours after I did that, the bank account was frozen. Remember I told you that? And me being the Leo that I am, I said even, and I meant it, of course I meant it, that no matter what, they're not getting a contract out of me, right? Remember I said that. Well, there were some changes that were made to the account. And now, today, I was able to use it again. And that's, the only thing that I've ever done is lien the bank, lien them. I liened all of them and did court actions on all of them. And you can see those out on YouTube at Light Tajiri Bay. And when they froze the account, I said, I don't care what you do. I don't care if I have to eat grass sandwiches. I'm not giving you a contract. And I'm not going to make that foreign because, you know, I could have done affidavits of W-8 then and all of that stuff. I wasn't going to do that either because I know that those resources belong to us. I know they do. And I knew that there was something bigger. And apparently in some of the previous documents that I sent to them, that I sent to all banks, I was telling you all even before January 1st that I saw some changes in the account where all of the debits went from being black to red. So when I saw the debits change, so that when you look at the bank statement, everything that was taken out turned red instead of black. It was showing a minus sign and it was red. And I knew then that the things that we had done thus far had worked, because whenever we see red in something like that, it means that that's something that the sovereigns can claim. So I knew that the changes were being made to the banking system in order for that to show. And then I waited to do the court action on that straw, that fake. I waited to do the court action until January 1st because I said I was not altogether sure, but I knew some things were going to change. I knew that because I know they have to do what we say. I know they do. And so I checked today, and for the first time, and I wasn't checking regularly. I pretty much just wrote off what was in there because I'm thinking, well, maybe the ancestors have something else they want me to do, and I'm going to do that instead of, I'm not going to pander and I'm not contracting. Well, I went on there today. Yes, Empress Portia had the question in the chat. She said, was all your credits still there? Absolutely, yes, they were. Yes, they were. And so I was able to use it today. So, and I hadn't sent them any documents yet because I've been too busy. We had our law enforcement summit and some other demonstrations that we're doing in the territory and preparing to do the post office demonstration. And so I hadn't had the opportunity to sit down and craft an affidavit. But again, I had already leaned and did everything that needed to be done to that. So I said if they never, yes. Justice Frank L., when you say the timeshare account, what do you mean? Because in the chat he put that all you did when you leaned the straw, they stopped the timeshare account, and he said that's a good thing. I'm not sure what timeshare account is referring to. I know what timeshares are, and to me timeshares is just another way of saying fraud because it's a model that we can use as the sovereigns because everything belongs to all of us. So we kind of do share everything, you know. So I'm not sure what you mean by timeshare account, but, you know, again, we're not compromising on anything that we're doing. This estate belongs to us, and we're not taking no for an answer from anyone. So are there any questions about that? Because I hear some.
Yes, I got a letter from the timeshare people, and it's a good thing. They said according to the public consumer and timeshare ownership records, you have been pre-qualified to cancel your timeshare obligations. You may also have an opportunity to recoup a portion of the money spent on your timeshare while eliminating all future fees and dues associated with your ownership. So what they're doing is when we got the straw, you got the 10,000, they taking money from us. We have no knowledge of it. I called them, and the reason why they took it off because I terminated all corporate contracts.
Oh, that's a good thing. That's great.
So that's what's going on, and we don't unaware that they're taking money from us and stealing from us, and they're using the straw, just like the 10,000. So it's real important. It's a new group, and I'm trying to find out now the director so I can lean them all. You know.
See, I know that once we get over the scary stuff of something like them putting, you know, so it wasn't even them who blocked the account. It wasn't even, I knew it wasn't them because they are not in control of it. That was something that happened because of what I did. It didn't have anything to do with them, with fakes and corpses. You know, it didn't have anything to do with a corpse. The corpses are not there anymore. They no longer occupy. We're in charge of that. So I knew that when I did it, and I knew that when it was frozen, that it was frozen for a reason, a good reason, and that there was something else that I needed to do. And as it turns out, I didn't really need to do much of anything outside of what was done already. I think they just needed to look at that the system, I needed to speak to the system a certain way. And when I spoke to the system the right way, it yielded what it needed to yield. and it made the changes that needed to be made to that system. See, that's this matrix that we're creating, because that's really what's happening here, is we're creating a matrix that's more real than the fake one that we've been living in. And so we need to be aware of that. We need to know that that's what this is. Okay. So, but I mean, you know, I will say this. I think if I had checked sooner, I probably would have found that that the system had done what I told it to do. You know, but I just so happened to check today. I happened to check, and then I thought, well, it looks different. It didn't even, the printing of it didn't even look the same on the web. The way that it prints, you know, the way that the screen showed up, it didn't even look the same. It looked different. It was operating differently. And so I said, well, let me try and transfer something. So I tried to transfer, and the transfer went through, and that was fine. So then I went to I just said, I'll just test it out and, you know, out on the territory and see what happens. And it worked out there. You know, so they have to do what we tell them, period. And that's further affirmation for me that they have to do what we tell them. And actually, if they have to do what we tell them, and then the system will obey us the same way. Because there's two different entities there that we've been dealing with, except that the fakes had put themselves in between us and the system that we created, that we command. So we commanded them to leave by certain actions that we took, and then we tell the system what to do. And I know that can be a little scary, but the estate is here, and I can feel it. So I already know that when certain things happen, I know not to panic, and I know that my full and complete trust is in the ancestral energies that come from within us. So it's not even, you know, me being trusting something way out there. I know that what's going on within the Moors is the right thing. And so I wasn't going to panic. I was just going to keep doing the work until the ancestors showed us what we need to see. Now, having said that, I want to show you what came to us over the last few days, just since that happened. And I showed this to our sovereign judiciary the other day. But I'm going to go ahead. I was a bit hesitant to show it because sometimes when you put things out there, some Moors can get overzealous, and they attempt to do demonstrations with what you've shown that they're not ready to do in terms of level of competence. But we're going to go over it today just so that, you know, we'll just go through this together so that we know where we're going and what we're doing. Let me see. I want to show you a document. Okay. This is something that came to us over the last few days. And this document is telling us how to set up our treasury and the treasury accounts so that we can do those electronic funds transfers that we've been waiting to see. Okay. And the way that this document came, I don't remember exactly how it came. I received a lot of information from a lot of different places. A lot of more send me things, et cetera, et cetera. So if you sent this to me, I apologize. I'll have to go back through my email because I can look and see. And I'm not, sometimes things come up on Google. When I'm Googling things will come up. And when I look at it, it turns out to be something like this that we have never seen before. So let's go over a few things about this document so that you all are aware that of where we're going and what exactly we're doing, because there's a plan to everything. There's a method to all that we're doing. Our ancestors are not random by any means. They know exactly what they're doing. And so once we pass a certain test, they give us other keys. Okay? So when I did not panic about the bank thing, and they knew in my heart that I was not going to sign any contracts, any corporate contracts whatsoever, that if the most they would have gotten somewhere down the road whenever I thought about it was an affidavit. But they've gotten enough affidavits to know that, you know, that we are not of any compromise. And we're not going to compromise. And when we show the ancestors that, they always put they just flood us with a bunch of other stuff that we need. So can you all see the document on the, okay. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that we can really see. Oh, I don't want it to be too big. Okay. So this is chapter 7500 of the Treasury Manual. And again, whenever we see documents like this, we look at it with our first eye, and we know that we have to make everything in red and all lowercase letters, and we cleanse and filter the information so that we stay sovereign and we don't go into anything corporate. Okay. So now this came across, and here it says credit gateway, Fedwire, and automated clearinghouse credit deposits to the account of the Bureau of the Fiscal Service. And we know that that language is corporate language, so to speak, but we know how to clean it up. It says this chapter prescribes procedures for non-tax Fedwire and ACH credit deposits to the account of the Bureau of the Fiscal Service. And then they put in parentheses Fiscal Service. They didn't put in parentheses the Office of Fiscal Service. They didn't even put Bureau of the Fiscal Service. They put Fiscal Service because Fiscal Service is actually us. U.S. Department of the Treasury, and then they put in parentheses Treasury because we're the Treasury. We're not a department of anything. We are the actual Treasury. And then it's deposits made through the credit gateway. And guess who the living credit gateway is? I'll wait.
We are.
Islam. It's the Moors. It is the Moors. So there's specific parts of this that I wanted to show you that we're already crafting the affidavits to speak to the system so that we can begin using the SWIFT system. And the SWIFT system is not, in red and all lowercase letters, is just a system of electronic, where you can make electronic transfers into the resources that we have now, which is the sovereign creditor account. So everyone who has either a bank account or a PayPal or a Cash App or anything like that, and that's why we've been saying terminate all corporate contracts and just put it on the public record. You don't have to contact them directly. Just put it on the public record. Those are being nationalized and changed into sovereign creditor accounts and sovereign resource accounts. And those are one and the same. A sovereign creditor account, sovereign resource account, same thing. Okay? And so before we are able to make deposits into accounts, etc., we have to be able to ensure that in the conveyance of that no corporates can come in and say, oh, you owe this, oh, you owe that, let's take from that. So that's why we have to stay sovereign and stay allodial and stay separate and set things up ourselves. Okay? And that way, when we do our United States Treasury instruments, we can deposit them into our own account. So we're being shown the way to do that, the way to be able to move the credits back and forth, because we're preparing to start the economy back up in the favor of the Moors, like the prophet said. Okay. So now on this document, and again, it says right there at the top, right up here, and this is the only chapter of the manual that came to me. I didn't receive any other chapters. It was this one specifically. It says this chapter prescribes procedures for non-tax Fed wire and ACH credit deposits. Okay, we know we're not taxed. We know that already. And so this is going to make it so that it stays that way. This chapter applies to federal entities and again, we all are the Moorish National Republic, federal government, in red in all lowercase letters. It says this chapter applies to federal entities with deposits for credit to the account of fiscal service made through FedWire or the ACH network. Federal entities transfer deposits over FedWire or ACH only when fiscal service determines that it is advantageous to the government. We're the government. We're fiscal service. We're the credit gateway, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you want to do some more study on these procedures that we're going to be implementing and these affidavits that we're going to be crafting, 31 U.S.C. 3301 and 3302. And again, in the affidavits that we craft, we will decapitalize and decolonize and put it in red in capitis diminutio nomo 31 U.S.C. 3301 and 3302. Again, we're the United States in all lowercase letters in red. Okay? So that is that's where we are going with all that we are doing. Let's look a little further down here at some of the things that we are going to be doing. You can look at the terms when you have a moment to look at the terms. And that means terminology, because there are no terms as in you have to do this and you have to do that. There's none of that. The only thing we have to do is remain sovereign and put it in red in all lowercase letters on Moorish National Republic federal government letterhead. Because, again, back in June of 2020, the Moorish National Republic federal government put on the public record that we're the Internal Revenue Service in red in all lowercase letters. We're the Federal Reserve in all lowercase letters in red. We're the Treasury and all of that. And we will go over that document as well. We also went into the Internal Revenue Service manual and pulled all of the creditor codes out. All of the codes that say you're the creditor and you're not taxed. And we included those codes on the document. And that document was sent and confirmed received by the system in June of 2020. And that document laid the foundation for this information and this demonstration to come. Okay, so general guidelines, these are some things that we're going to be doing and implementing and putting into our sovereign affidavit. New account setup and maintenance. That's section 7530, subsection 7530.10. New account setup and maintenance. And this is general guidelines, again, for treasury accounts. Because remember, heirs, people have been talking about, they've been trying to get at what they call treasury direct accounts, right? People have been trying to get at treasury direct accounts for a while. And many, many, many people have gone to jail, and I'm talking about citizens, have gone to jail trying to get at a treasury direct account that is not a real account. The only reason all of that stuff existed was for us to be able to look at it, clean up the information, craft affidavits, speak to the system, do liens, do court actions, and then command the system to do what we want it to do. Anybody trying to access a treasury direct account, I mean, come on. If that was even possible, you already know Albion foreign hybrids would have been out there just partying with all of that. But they haven't been. They've been needing our autographs to do what they have done thus far. Correct? Correct. They've been needing us. You know, they've needed our autographs. And so now that we're awake, we're able to clean up what we see, get rid of anything that's corporate, and then use it. Because all of these resources on this land belong to us. All of the systems, everything belongs to us. And we just have to know how to clean it up and keep it from being corporate. Again, anybody that's, you know, saying things about, you know, you have to go down to this county courthouse and file this and register with them and blah, 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 don't do it. Just a suggestion. Can't tell sovereigns what to do. So here it says, before processing any FedWire or ACH transactions through the credit gateway, a federal entity must establish an account with the credit gateway. And again, who's the credit gateway? We are. We're establishing all of that right now. We've already established it. Again, those wire transfers go through internal services, okay? And we've already decolonized and decapitalized any of those services. So we're the credit gateway. And when I say we, I mean all more. It says before setting up a new account, the federal entity must have a valid agency location code. Now, if you will notice, they did not say you have to have a valid address code. They said agency location code. Well, for us, we're not an agency the way they spell it. Let me just pull that up, because we'll be changing all of that. And this is what I mean by cleaning things up. We know we're not an agency. We are the government. So when Moors are looking at things like this, the ability to clean it up is going to be the key to proper implementation of it, so that no one gets in trouble. Because if you try to do this and there's corporate stuff going on, that's where the trouble comes. Okay? Because the corporates don't want anybody trying to be them, because they know they're fraud and they're finished. Okay? Have a valid agency location code. Fiscal Services Fiscal Accounting Area manages ALC setup. And again, who is fiscal service? That's us. Who is, fiscal accounting? That's us. And then they tell you, refer to TFM Volume 1, Part 1, Chapter 2000, Section 2025. The reason that, and again, we're diving into that study so that we can properly craft the affidavit to do this. We're not filling out any of their forms at all. We're the main ones yelling, don't fill out their forms, and we're never going to do that. Here they say be enrolled in the CIR. Well, again, we know that we are any credit gateway, etc. So we're not enrolling in anything. In fact, we're going to actually proclaim in red and all lowercase letters that we are the CIR. So we're not enrolling with them at all. In fact, we put them out of business. It's Collections Information Repository, a fiscal service collections reporting tool that provides deposit reporting and detail of collection transactions to federal entities. Now, and this is going to be important, simply because Collections Information Repository, in the corporate sense, those are the ones that's been telling everybody, that, these are debtors. You can take, they just got a big tax return, quote unquote, etc. And you can take that tax return because, they owe child support or they owe this or they owe that. That's how this entity has been dealing with their corpses. Well, we are this for our nation, in red in all lowercase letters. So no one can put any collections on anything that has to do with us. And in fact, deposit reporting is supposed to be something that we use as a tracking mechanism to keep track of what comes into our account. And again, we're in charge of all of this. No corporate corpses are in charge of it. So we're studying, and doing more study of this, putting everything in red and all lowercase letters. We are simply notifying that there's 3 entities minimum involved in this process that we're firing. Okay. Right here, credit vouchers refers to the SF-215 deposit ticket. That's going to be a big deal for us, deposit tickets and debit vouchers. And it's not a voucher for us. A debit voucher is going to be something like a check that we write to each other using gold-backed sovereign credit to do commerce with one another. And it's simply an affidavit. That's all it is. And we're going to be making those look the way they should look as we go along, okay? And then here, so again, we're basically just kind of jumping around on the document just to show you how things are done when the Moors do it and where we're going with all of this. Federal Reserve Bank. Because we're the Treasury, we don't really need a bank. However, because we already have banks and bank accounts, that's why we leaned them on the public record and did court actions, etc. Because we're changing them all to Federal Reserve Banks in all lowercase letters in red, and that's on the other document that I told you about as well that was sent in June of 2020. We're the Federal Reserve System. We're the Federal Reserve Bank, the living, true, indigenous, original, sovereign one. And all of these, all they did was hypothecate, and all we're doing is unhypothecating all of that and bringing it back under our control. So, and then the third thing it says here is complete and submit a credit gateway account setup form to Fiscal Services Settlement Services Division. See contact information listed for inquiries concerning new setup. Now, when Moors see this kind of stuff, if you're a Moor that does not know who you are, you will be looking for some contact information to call somebody and try and do something when you're actually who you should be calling. We don't need to call anyone. We're it. So all we do is look for their address and then send them a lien and a court action That removes them out of the way. And then we tell them, we're it, you're fired. And then we speak to the system. The movie The Matrix is not just a movie, it's actually a truth. So we don't need to talk to any of them for anything. Yes, Islam. Justice Juramore, that is absolutely correct. Do not, under any circumstances, go to any of the pseudo-capitalist venues for any type of documentation or filing. Don't do it. Don't do it. And that is why we hesitate sometimes to release the information that we've received, because we know that some will not be knowing that they are the source. So they'll try and go to some fake somewhere and start saying, you know, or even asking fake questions. The fake is going to give you the fake answer. If you go to a fake and say, can they do that? The fake is going to say, oh, no, they can't do that, because fakes can only speak in citizen status. That's why when we talk to them, they're always lying. They're lying to a sovereign, but it's the truth for the citizens. But we feel that with what we're doing, we are among the most competent and most knowing Moors. And so we're okay with setting the information out there so that we can all look at it and see where we're going, because there's a plan for all of this. Everything that we're doing is planned. It's not by accident, and we're moving at the pace and the speed that we should be moving at. Okay? And we also know that there is a remnant that even gets exposed to the information that we put out here. It's not for everybody, so it's not going to be exposed to everybody. It's only for a few that are laying the foundational groundwork for what's being done, for the changes that are happening. And that's why sometimes when we put things out there, some don't get it, and they'll say, oh, that's crazy. She got her own crazy language, and they're doing crazy stuff, but then they'll go on to, if Facebook tell them that they can text a OMG, everybody knows that, oh, that's a language. It's not a language. We're the ones who can coin things, because we're the actual sovereign, because coin is another definition for sovereign, you know. So we're not making anything up. Everything that we do, there's a reason for all of it. And if you look in Black's Law Dictionary under nation, you have to have your own language. So we have our own language. So again, when we put things out, we're not putting them out based on guessing. The ancestors are giving us the keys we need as long as we stay together. And we're staying together. So they're giving us more and more keys. When the document that's going to be put together for this demonstration is done, I will put the document up so that you can see what was done and how it was done, et cetera, et cetera. Here it says, fiscal service reserves the right not to offer FedWire or ACH services for a specific federal entity cash flow if fiscal service determines that it is not cost effective or in the public interest. We're fiscal service. No one tells us anything. No one told us, oh, you know, you can't start your own court. No one said that, because they can't stop us from doing the things that we're doing. No one can stop us. The only ones that can stop us is we ourselves, if we decide to do war actions, or if our ego gets out of alignment, etc. And even then, the ancestors know how to get it back in alignment so that we keep moving forward. So all we're going to be doing, again, is notifying fiscal service with the capital F and a capital S. We will notify them that we've already opened our own account and that their services are not needed. And then we move about, again, speaking to that system. The Credit Gateway Program reviews each form for accuracy. And again, our system, the creditor system, if your documents are not in red and all lowercase letters, it's going to kick it back and usually they just don't say anything. They don't do anything either. Unless it's in red and all lowercase letters. When it's in red and all lowercase letters, you will start to see the changes happen the same way that I've been telling you they're happening with my account. It takes a little while for the system to properly put everything in there that we've told it to do, but it does it. The freezing of the account and then releasing of it after the proper changes were made is no accident. They have to do what we say, but we also have to know that it is a system, and that system, it takes it a minute to make its adjustments. And the same adjustments that it's making to the things that we've done, you'll have to make those adjustments as well. And that's why we're sharing and being transparent about all that's going on with regard to the accounts and everything, so that you know what to expect as we move through to that which is ours. Okay? Here they're even saying that they don't, not even the fakes will deny anything. It says right here, the credit gateway program, and they're not going to be looking at ours. They're just going to be, the system is going to look at ours. We've already liened the treasury and all the fake corporate treasury, and that's how come they can't do anything about us saying we're the United States Treasury. The credit gateway program reviews each form for accuracy and submits it to credit gateway customer care for account setup. It returns incomplete forms to the federal entity for correction and resubmission. And we don't submit to anyone, because that's a trick bag right there too. And again, I'm glad that we all know the difference between that which is corporate and that which is sovereign. We don't submit anything to anyone. That's really what this is saying. Okay. We just notify them that we overstand it. We've done our study. We overstand it, and it's done properly. And we will know that it's done properly because they will do what we tell them to do. So when I hear more say, oh, this doesn't work or that doesn't work, it's, recheck the work so that, because if there's anything on there that shouldn't be on there, they're not going to do what we tell them to do. But when we're competent, and we've been saying that now for years, about 2 years we've been saying that. When we're competent, they will do exactly as commanded. Okay? And so take the time when you have the time to go through this document, go down the rabbit holes, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to be putting a document together, an affidavit together for this document, and the study that comes with it, and then we'll be, let's see, I think someone put a link to it in the chat. Oh, there it is. Yes, that's a link to it right there. Thank you, Empress Alessandra. She put a link to the document in the chat for those who want to look at it. And download it and do some study on it. And while you're studying the document, if you see anything that you think we need to know about, let us know, because it always helps when we have more than one eye or more than one group of eyes. When we look at things as a nation together, we get way more information, okay? Because everyone has a different perspective that they look with. And so we want to be sure that everything that we do is accurate, that it's in red in all lowercase letters, and that we remain sovereign and never, ever return to a corporate status ever again. So Are there any other questions about, she said that the link is not working. Let me see. Empress, click on it. In fact, I'll click on the link that you put there. Because sometimes, Empress, it will work for some. Oh, yeah, it's working. So, Empress, the link is working. I will say this, too, about that, because the others are saying that the link is working. If the link doesn't work for one of us and it works for everyone else, then the one that it's not working for, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Just one moment. Take a deep breath, breathe in, and hold on just one second. Take a deep breath, breathe in, relax, and then try it again. Okay. I am unlocking the meeting for those who want to come in because I'm getting text messages. Take a deep breath, relax, send out some good vibes, and it will open for you. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments about this document? Just one moment. I'll take care of it, Justice Gilmore. I see what you're saying. Just one moment. Okay. 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 So the Moors who were waiting to come in, they've made it into the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and lock it back. So okay. So are there any questions or comments or anything about the document, where we're going, what we're doing? Again, the link is in the chat for those who want to look at the Treasury manual and see you know, what it looks like and where we're going with it, etc. Our focus right now is on taking control of the system, and we have no doubt about how to do that. We know how to do it. We are doing the study, and then we'll let everyone know, and then you do the study too, so that you know we can talk about it and have an intelligent exchange with one another about it. I just have a feeling that, you know, we are not the largest group for a reason. And when I say the largest group, I mean, you know, in this meeting, we don't have, from what we can see, because, you know, we can't really trust the numbers, but because I've seen the real numbers, and it's way, way, way different from what they actually show. But we're a smaller number of Moors who are more able to absorb the information, because we're going to need to discuss it competently and implement the things that need to be implemented. So those who, does everyone have a copy of it? Hopefully you do. Links have been put in the chat. Okay. All right. That is all that I have at this time with regard to where we're going and what we're doing, because we do know how to write the treasury instruments, etc. The treasury instruments that we're writing, for example, the $65 billion treasury instrument that we just placed on the public record, there is some coding that happens where that instrument is concerned, and there are codes in this document. In fact, I'll go to the page where the coding starts. Let me see. Yeah. The coding starts on let's see. The coding, yes, here it is. The coding starts on page 10 of this document, of the one that we're seeing. So let me go there really quickly, and then we'll be done. Okay, here is some coding, and so this coding, when they talk about here required information for funds transferred, Fed wire messages to fiscal service. When they talk about this messages are going to be affidavits from us to the system. Okay? We're not talking to Albion foreign hybrids because they don't control any of this. They don't control any of it. Trust me when I say they don't control it. We do. This coding will tell you, it gives you a basic map of what should be on the document. For example, the creditor instrument, in order to give yourself a deposit, essentially, is what that means. For an example, you see this number right here at receiver F1, or FI, rather. It identifies the receiving institution. The 9-digit identifier is the ABA Credit Gateway routing number for Treasury. The short name for Treasury's routing number is TRES-NYC. We would put all of that in red in all lowercase letters. Okay? We will put that in red in all lowercase letters. And then this number right here, if you look on the document that we put on the screen, in fact, I'll put it back up there. Let me just get to it. It is the Treasury instrument, raise the 28. Here it is. Oh, it's already up here. Okay. This instrument right here, it's got some coding at the bottom of it. This is our $65 billion gold United States Treasury instrument. And here's the coding right here that they're talking about. United States Treasury routing number. Okay, hold on just one moment. Thank you, Empress. Okay, there it is. Let's see. Let me put that on the screen. Can you see it now, Empress? Okay. This document that we put on the public record, this check, it's a United States Treasury cashier's check from our government, which is all of us. from the Treasury. Down here at the bottom, it has routing number for the Treasury, which is going to be, and then it has the master account number. And this master account number, you will see this number on the document that was sent back in June. United States Bank routing number, 010105905, and then the amount and the check number. So this check from the United States Treasury done by us for 65 billion gold United States dollars for the post office. And that's why I was saying when we first started this call that everyone should go ahead and get the allodial, the sovereign allodial title printed up. That's something that you all do, and we're doing it here as well, putting it on the public record for the building and all of the equipment in it, etc. That's the next step to the transition. Okay? And then we'll come back together on our next call or our next couple of calls whenever we get all of that done. We're going to be doing it here. And then we'll report back on the progress that's being made. Yes, Islam. We'll report back on the progress that's being made, and then we'll go from there. So I believe that's it. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, when you do the titles to the post offices, if you could please send me a copy, because the ones that do the titles for the post office, and you know, let's say you've done a lien already, and then you need to do which document is it in, Portia, that you're referring to? How do you get which one? Oh, it is going to be under the video that where the vote was taken. So that was like 2 or 3 videos ago. It was last week when we took the vote, and the people elected to put the instrument on the public record. It's not under there yet. There's a bunch of documents under there, like nationality documents and things like that, which nationality is our #1 priority, and so nationality documents will be under all of the videos from this point forward. But the cashier's check will go under that video. We just needed to go through the coding first. So under the video that the vote was taken, we put that the check would be under there to look for it in the near future, because we know that there's some coding that needed to go on it. And once we go back, finish studying this document that we're looking at today, the Treasury manual, and we put the proper coding on the cashier's check, and we do what needs to be done in order to, for the most part, our account is already set up, because we did that in June with the codes that we put on the first document. This document is speaking to a different entity in the system in order to complete that process, so that the Treasury can then speak to the bank, the banking system. Okay. So I believe that's it. That's all I have this week or today. Are there any other questions, comments, etc.? Will the master account number be the same on all the checks? Yes, at this point it will be the master account, because the master account was set up so that all Moors all creditors can be part and parcel of it. The master account was set up as all 9, the master creditor account. and with the proper creditor codes, and there are over 1,000 codes, but we went through each one of the codes and pulled out all of the creditor codes that needed to be coded, and we put them on the document that was sent in June of 2020. And if you want, we can go over that document at our next call, if that's something you all need to see. Again, it was done in June, and about 90 days after the document was received by the system was when my account changed over, and so that the debits went from being black debits to red debits. Islam.
I just put another link in the chat that has chapter 2000, chapter 3000, and a couple other things in it. It's one link where they can click on, and it will go to those, and all of those have PDF downloads for them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let me just copy that link myself. Empress Portia, you just put something in the chat. Was it always like that, or what, or is that something that changed? Because I know for sure that ours, the debits were black. But then when I showed them to the moorishe that they were red, they started looking at theirs, and some of theirs was black at some of their banking, but then over time they started changing to red because we're changing the system to the creditor system.
Islam. So we didn't have to do anything, because I don't remember doing anything specific other than nationalizing.
Good. That's the way we wanted it to be. So that means that the master document that we sent is continuing to do what it needs to do as people terminate corporate contracts. And then in some cases, I think that that the nationality documents on the public record is what's making it so that the changes are the system is changing it based on what's on the public record. Because in June 2020, we changed all creditor bank accounts, everything that has to do with the sovereign heirs to creditor accounts as they wake up and put their documents on the public record. Then it'll be about 90 days or so. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, because it took 90 days for the change in my bank account to show. So that just means that the account went from being a fake corporate-owned bank account to being a sovereign resource account that we control. And so now, this part that we're doing now is making it so that we'll be able to write our own instruments and put them into our own account based on things like commerce and things coming out of our trust, that we pull out of our trust, etc., so that we can do the things that we need to do. Again, and I said this at the beginning of the call, we don't know the whole timeline of all of this, so don't change what you're doing. Whatever you're doing to put food on the table and do the things that you need to do those things. We don't know how long this is going to take, but we see it happening 100%. And so we're going to continue moving in this direction, because every time we demonstrate a level, the ancestors say, okay, you did good with that one. That was competent. Now here's some more information for you to study so that you can go to the next level with it. And then we just keep getting, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, they're giving it to us. Anybody in a rush, I can't do anything, with regard to that, except assist you in proclaiming your nationality and standing on your sovereign status. That will keep everyone safe when they're peaceful and competent and demonstrating their sovereign status. That will keep everyone in place until we get all of this done. And even after we get it done, we're going to be so busy because commerce must resume quickly. It has to. But there's some things that we have to do first. So please get your military uniforms. Wherever you can get them from, please get them. If you can only get one, just get one. If you can order them online, because you should be able to order them online. If you need to order them online. If you can't afford the ones that are online, find them from wherever you can get them from, because there's surplus stores that have them. And then, you know, if there's someone, if Moors need to come, you know, I have a few here, you know, that some Moors can, you know, of course I'm willing to share the little bit I have, you know, if you need them, and if you need to alter them a little bit to fit, then do so, you know. So that being said, that's all I have at this point for what we're talking about here. We will pick back up again on Sunday, and I'll let you know how far we are on the affidavit. And then I'll also show you the affidavit that was sent, and we'll go through it step by step. The one that was sent to all of the entities in June that changes all of the bank accounts to creditor accounts. And so the overarching steps that we've been taking, have been so that Moors don't have to worry about certain things. So that when they declare their nationality and put it on the public record and terminate the corporate contracts, etc., that certain things happen for them as they do it. That's what the overarching steps are all about. Okay? When we send things, it's for all. That's why we had to say all Moors, all Moors. This is for all Moors. Everything that we do is for all Moors. So all Moors should be seeing the same changes happening across the board. It takes the system a minute to go through the public record, and they'll see some competent documents in red and all lowercase letters, and they'll pick that up and say, okay, we have another creditor here. Does this creditor have a bank account? Okay, change all the debits to red because they can claim these. Change this, change that, make this happen, make that happen. And then when we do other things, like what we're preparing to do now and with the post office demonstration, because the post office is where the go back lawful coinage is going to be tributed, or they say distributed, but we say tributed. And that's where those exchanges are going to happen. If you call the post office and ask them, is somebody going to be giving out fallback currency here? Guess what they're going to say? They're going to say no, because they can't do it. They'll be right. Citizens can't do it. And right now it's all subjects there. Islam.
Just remember, when they say distributed, what does this mean?
Yes.
Not
that means take it back. Yes.
It goes into their
It means
pocket.
not tributed. Yes. That's why they use that term. Islam.
Exactly.
We just spell it differently, but yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But that's the reason why we have to change our language. Because if we don't fix our language, we cannot fix. And notice I said cannot. I didn't say we can't. We have to stop doing that stuff of abbreviating and things like that and speak properly.
Yes.
Islam.
Yes, our ancestors didn't use abbreviated words. Did I just use one? I did. They did not use abbreviated words.
And they did not say zero. They never said zero. They said ought, because that is truth. And not is what you would call zero. But ought is truth.
Yes.
Islam.
Thank you, Justice Jermore. We appreciate you. Keep us straight. We have to stay straight. Islam. If there be no other questions or comments, etc., peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
What is
I don't think that. Are you a Moorish American national?
No. But you're crook. Your people are crook.
Okay, yeah, you can be quiet. You're dismissed from here. Peace and grand rising to the heirs. Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Islam. Grand rising. Peace and love. Peace and love. Peace and love.
All in Washington.
Islam, Washington, we love you.
Love you too.
Islam.
Peace and grand rising, light and love.
Islam.
Islam.